Sunday. Again, that means Joyful Sunday. Love it. It's a great occasion. Let's start with happiness in general, shall we? Everybody wants to be happy, right? I assume so anyway. Well, what can bring us happiness? There is a lot of debate out there. I am sure that all of you have heard this at some point. Money can't buy you happiness. And I'm equally certain that many of you know at least one person who absolutely disagrees with that phrase. They say, no, money can buy you happiness. They might even say that money is the only thing that can buy you happiness. And if that isn't cynical enough for you, there are other people that say that nothing can bring you happiness. You know, one of my friends posted something that just made me roll my eyes. It was a couple of weeks back. It was a simple meme, no pictures, just three sentences. First sentence said, studies have proven that highly intelligent people are more prone to depression and disillusionment in life. Second sentence, people who scored highly on a realist test, I don't know which test that actually is, but people who scored highly on this test were joyless, hopeless people. In conclusion, human existence is an existential nightmare. And you know, I read that, and I was reminded that every once in a while I am a terrible millennial, because I don't accept three-sentence arguments to highly complicated matters. Instead, I read books. Sometimes that feels like I'm a traitor to my generation. Whether you agree with me on that or not, I was well prepared to not be fooled by such a shallow posting. This is just another example of how the Catholic Church actually does have a better answer to something than secular society, and we've had it for years or decades or even centuries. You know, in this case, Catholic thinkers have absolutely been aware that highly intelligent people can be depressed and gloomy. There is nothing new about that observation. It's been true for every era of human history. I want to share with you something. This is the best thing I have ever read on the subject of happiness, and it comes from a practicing Catholic. The perfect happiness of man on the earth, if it ever comes, will not be a flat and solid thing like the satisfaction of animals. It will be an exact and perilous balance like that of a desperate romance. Man must have enough faith in himself to have adventures, and just enough doubt of himself to enjoy them. It must not be the mere victory of some one thing swallowing up everything else, love or pride or peace or adventure. It must be a definite picture composed of those elements in their best proportion and relation. Orthodoxy, chapter 7, written 110 years ago. I love that. I love that. What he's saying is that happiness is composite. It is made of many things altogether. Being happy in life is all about balance. Everything in life needs to be in equilibrium. So too little money, you fall into poverty. Too much money, and greed begins to take over your ability to enjoy the best things that this world has to offer. So can money buy you happiness? Well, no, but it's a factor. It's a factor because it's tough to be genuinely happy when you're broke and desperate for money. In just the same way, intelligence alone will not bring you happiness. I know plenty of people in my life who are extremely intelligent and completely miserable. And it's because they have zero social skills. I'm talking about the kind of people that have trouble leaving the house. For all of their knowledge, they can't talk to other people, and they don't know how to share their emotions and feelings, and that takes its toll over time. I'll give you one more example about how too much of one thing does not equal happiness. What about those people who really believe that their lives will somehow be better if they complain long enough and loudly enough? Yeah, they're fun people, aren't they? I met plenty of them when I was minoring in political science in college. There are lots of serial complainers in the poli-sci department, and I'm just going to assume that if you work retail, you're on my side for this. For these serial complainers, this is how you know I'm telling the truth. This is what's called a demonstrative argument. When a serial complainer comes up to you, whining about the latest global crisis, doesn't matter what they're complaining about, but when they come to you with their latest complaint, you have to make a choice. You can either tell them to scram and stop acting like a baby, or you can give them what they want. If you don't give them what they want, they will complain about the complaining. And if you do give them what they want, will they be happier and maybe respect you more for seeing things their way? Not likely. 9 times out of 10, they just move right on to the next thing to complain about. I can't wish that attitude upon anybody, because it's this endless cycle of misery and joylessness. No one is meant to live like that. So guys, I'm telling you, God wants us to be happy. No doubt in my mind about that. God wants us to be happy. That much is true. But happiness is a tricky thing. It's composite. It is made of many things in perfect balance. A lot of one quality in life is just not going to bring you happiness long term. Life is just a little too complicated for that strategy to work long term. So that covers happiness in general. But we heard in both our first reading and our second reading, we didn't just hear the words, be joyful. We heard, rejoice in the Lord, for he is near. Sing for joy, you people of God. So God is certainly a part of the happiness. Okay? He's the joy that shapes all other joy. So to unpack that a little bit, I've got just a quick Father Justin mass quiz. Don't worry, this one's an easy one. If you please, raise your hands if you have never said these words. I don't want to go to church. It's boring. Okay, you can tune me out. You're saintly. You're good. The rest of you are normal. I was secretly waiting for like a kid to raise their hand because they weren't really listening to the question. I didn't fool anybody at 5 o'clock mass either. No, church can be boring at times. We can be honest with ourselves about that. And even when it's not boring, it's probably not all that fun. That's not really the adjective we'd use for church. It's okay. We can be honest with ourselves like that. That's not the point of church. I certainly want you to enjoy your time here. I want you to be engaged, interested, and attentive. But I'm not here to amuse you or entertain you. That's not the point of church. The point of church is to grow closer to God, to grow in faith. That is what church is for. And by and large, we do that in 2 ways. Liturgy of the Word, where we learn a little bit more about the Bible or our faith in general. That's what we're doing now. And then the second half of Mass is the liturgy of the Eucharist, where we receive Christ in communion. Those are the 2 big ways that we grow in faith, and we do that when we come to church. That is why we make the time for church, whether it's amusing or not. Will coming to Mass make you happier? Yes. I mean, you have to respond to it, of course. Like anything else spiritual, you will get out of it what you put into it. But over time, Mass will add to the joy and happiness of your life. And I say that with confidence because Christ is what gives us the ability to rise above our struggles and problems that the world throws at us. The more we come to Mass, the more we know Christ. And the more we know Christ, the better we understand and believe that there is a great deal to rejoice about in this world. God is with us, and he is watching over us, and all of these struggles and problems that we have to wrestle with, those will not survive the second coming of Christ. What will remain is faith, hope, and love. And we will rejoice like never before when that day finally dawns in glory.